Hey everybody! Today we're going to talk about creating great comic book logos, what to look for, what to avoid. So I'm going to start out here with some old school stuff, which is really the foundation upon which comics are built. The comic book industry seems to have abandoned that today. They don't seem to be interested in their roots and why But back when comics actually sold some copies, a lot of copies, they had these kind of titles: big, bold, fun stuff. You knew you were in for a treat. Of all, it's fun for all ages, kind of thing. It's a blast, and that's the way comics used to be. We need to get back to that. Or if you want to beat your competition, pay attention to the elements that they had back then. First off, just one thing to consider is the shortness of your hero's name. The shorter it is, the bigger you can make those letters, the more bold and graphic, better graphic it's going to be. It'll sell that comic book. You want to market your story. You created a story, now you want to market it. This is how you market it, with a great graphic like this. Now here's the more updated version of Thor. I thought it was a fantastic solution. It looks a little more medieval. Still a bold word, and the mighty part that fills the space. You want to make sure you fill the space as much as possible. It creates a nice solid design. This is the Simonson era. Look at this stuff. It's really fantastic, and it complements the art perfectly. And you can read it from across the room. Readability is important, and it makes it more memorable too. Don't underestimate the power of a good logo. Now this is one of my favorite comics of all time. Look at now it's a longer word, but they had this little man without fear. Plus the Marvel Comics group, it fills the space. So even though it's a longer word, it's bold and thick as they can make it, and still fills the space, and it's a nice solid graphic. This is a great Frank Miller cover with the same one. Looks fantastic, fun. Great stuff. Now, Captain America, that's a long word, obviously, so you got a bit of a problem. How do you make it interesting? Well, they curved it a little bit, and another way to give your logo some interest, is to curve it or slant it, and also raising it is a good idea to give it some dimension. You can see here between these two. Look at the logo is smaller on here. You can see the difference. They had to put on this one. They had to put the logo smaller because the art wasn't fitting quite right, and they didn't want to cover up too much of his name, so they made it smaller. And you can see the difference between these. Bigger is better, more fun. It's saying Captain America. And that's what you want to do. Now most of this stuff is going to be Marvel, but I'm going to include a little bit of DC. One of the greatest logos ever. Here is Superman, obviously the most iconic superheroes of all time, and this is his solution. It's a long word, so what did they do? They curved it, and they added a lot of weight to it, a lot of dimension, a lot of thickness to it, and that fills the space very well. So it's a pretty good solution for a longer word like that. This is the modern version. Looks great. Again, thick, big, bold lettering. Added the adventures of to fill that space, and to make it a nice big solid graphic. On to Iron Man. Everybody loves this cover. Bob Layton, fantastic image, awesomeness, and look at the logo. It's just totally badass. It's made of iron. You got the rivets in there. It's and the Invincible is added, even though it's a little bit longer word. So they added Invincible to fill the space again. Plus the Marvel Comics group makes a nice solid frame. Now here's the modern version. I don't care for this lettering as much, but it's still filling the space. It's very thick. It's very bold. Very heavy. Very readable. Good graphic. Hulk, fantastic. Gotta love it. Big, bold, and this is the one where he's putting on. They're going on an angle to give you some excitement, some interest. That's a good solution. Fills the space. Think about that. People want to nowadays. I've seen them take these logos and stuff them up in the corner or something like that, make them irrelevant. But they used to be part of the art. They used to be part of the graphic. This makes a great. This is why you see all this old stuff, this retro stuff on T-shirts and posters and things like that, because it's pop art. It looks great. It's part of the lettering is part of the comics, and we've lost that. We've gone away from that. At least the big, DC and Marvel is you don't have to. That's the thing, is make your own comics that are really cool. Now here's another, obviously Dale Keown, incredible, iconic cover here. The Hulk is huge. It's thick and it's got dimension. It's got brick. Looks like a cement block or something like that. Incredible, helps fill the space even more. Now here's one that's interesting: is Invaders. It's a longer word. They gave it some dimension and stuff. And you can see how it actually isn't as impactful as the Hulk or Thor. It's good, but they had the greatest superheroes of World War II to help fill the space a little bit better. But it's not as good. As you can see, smaller is just not as great. Now Spider-Man was a real problem. And you can see the solution they came up with was really great, because it's a long word. You got Amazing and Spider-Man. How do you put that all together? And they curved it. They made it into the web, and that was a really, really good solution. It looks really fun, and you can see how they squeezed it into the icon area here just to make it larger. So today modern companies are trying to make their logos smaller. They knew back then instinctively, correctly, that the bigger the logo, the better, and so they would make it as big as they could make it without being cut off by the paper or being and still get that icon character in there. Okay, now here's the big one. This is the one. It's no accident Marvel Comics outsold DC and all the other comics for years, and especially the X-Men. For 25 years, it was a top-selling comic book. In the 70s and 80s, it was huge. And this is one of the reasons why. This X-Men logo is probably the greatest logo ever created for comics. It's got dimensions, it's got thickness, it's short, so it can be read from across the room. It's a lot of fun, and it looks just fantastic. Pretty much, it's like a bulletproof logo. It looks good, almost no matter what art you put on it. In fact, we're going to do that as we get to the bad art, the bad logos, and you can see the difference, what an effective logo does for you. So, of course, it's great. And I've seen them take this incredible logo and stuff it into the corner of their comic book. It's one of the greatest logos ever, and they stick in they're clueless. They have no idea what they're doing. They have no idea how to sell comics. It's just amazing to me. There's no one at the wheel. They've lost their way totally. Okay, so the X-Men, obviously, this is the best logo ever. Now let's look at some bad logos, and ineffective. I should say, maybe not bad. It's kind of harsh. First, we've got Dragonlance here. Dragonlance. Look, it's artfully done, but the lettering is thin. It's small. It's not impactful. It's bad. It's just not an effectively. It's nothing like the Marvel. This is never going to sell as well as one of those Marvel comics like Thor. If a kid's walking into the store looking at a magazine rack, this is not going to grab their attention. It's just not. It doesn't communicate fun. Another one, oh boy. This one is it's got a great, Barry Windsor Smith image. It's great art. But look at the logo. Who would put their hero's name in lowercase? It's just terrible. It's awful. Plus, Valiant came up with this symbol. Looks like a corporate symbol or something. It says zero fun. This stuff is just really bad. Iron Man. Great, John Romita Jr. artwork, but it looks like somebody just came out of art school and said, "Hey, I'm going to paint that gold and make it shiny and metallic," and that's great. They did a great job, but just because you can doesn't mean you should. And this is a great example of that. Of course, not to mention there's no words. Look at all this empty space here. They didn't fill. They don't even know what they want to do anymore. They're just doing pinup covers. This is a terrible logo. It's so bad. Look at how it's thin. It's wimpy. If you're doing a comic book, you want to say Harbinger. You don't want to say Harbinger. And that's what this is saying. When you have a wimpy logo, when you have a thin lettering, you're not excited by the art. You're not excited by this comic book, and it's not going to sell. And this stuff, even if it was good stories, I don't even know if it was a good story or not, but it wouldn't sell. Now, this one, I think actually this one did sell pretty well, but look at this logo. It's a pretty good logo, but look at that empty space. It doesn't fill the space. They don't know how to do comic book, a good, effective comic book lettering, and it's just not fun. They should have either pushed it up to the top, or I would have stretched it down and made it big and bold. It's like I said, it's a pretty good logo if they pulled it out and made it big. And then it's, you want to say, bloodshot in your face. I would have done like the X-Men thing where you take an end and make it go into the perspective and stuff like that. Okay, just not effective. That's a terrible name, of course. It's bad news. Terrible character, but look at that logo. The logo's not awful, but look at that empty space up there. It's just wasted space. Why wouldn't you take the Night Mask and fill that space completely with that title? I don't know. They just don't know. Justice, terrible logo design. What's this? I don't know. They made the U into a V. It's thin. They're trying to do X-Men here because it looks like, X-Men was good because it had great character development and great stories, and they're trying to do that. But with this logo, it just kills it. It kills any chance of that happening. It's another just terrible logo. Now the new universe actually helps it a little bit, but fill the space. But it's not a good logo. It's not fun. Does this say fun to you? No. It says you're not going to have any fun today. That's what it's saying. Now, Star Brand, great, John Romita Jr. artwork, and I know they didn't want to cover it up, so they put the Star Brand logo way up here, which isn't a terrible logo, but it's not that much fun. It doesn't look like it doesn't look very thick, and there's thickness here, and they're trying to make it look sciencey and sci-fi kind of like, but you got to still have something in your face. Here it's bigger, but can you imagine ever coloring your logo pink? You're trying to sell this to boys. Plus, this just character is so bad. Who would make an outfit that's brown? I mean, brown. And it doesn't even show any of the figure, the muscles, or anything like that. It's not exciting at all. But apparently, this was a pretty good story. But no one's going to read it. No kid's going to read it because if it's next to Thor sitting on the shelf, they're going to pick up Thor. They're going to pick up Captain America. They're not going to buy this, no matter how good the story is. Spitfire, not totally terrible, but why wouldn't you just pull it, make it larger, squeeze it all the way to the sides, thicken this lettering up, make it look a little bit cooler? It fills the space all right, but not as well as it could. Another one of those Spitfires. The final one is X-Men. Now, I remember seeing this on the shelves, and I was like, I always wanted to read X-Men. I didn't get it from the start, so I thought, I should buy the reprints. But I was turned off by this logo. It looks like, and I know they didn't want to mix it with, make the confusion with the current X-Men logo, current X-Men books. But this is a really good example of showing just how, if they had done, imagine this logo on all those X-Men books, how wimpy it is. This artwork is beautifully done, but the X-Men logo here it's pretty wimpy. I would have, if I were them, I would have risked a little bit of confusion by making this thing, just say classic up there in bold letters, make the X-Men bold. Now, what I'm going to do is kind of interesting now is I'm going to go backwards with the bad ones, and I'm going to substitute the real X-Men logo. And you can see here just immediately how this thing all of a sudden comes alive, and you think, wow, that's really good. This X-Men logo is phenomenal. Look at it on the Spitfire book. It looks great on the Spitfire book. Oh, by the way, just adding a border to your book, why take away from the art? Why frame it like that? I don't know. It's terrible. But you can see this. All of a sudden, it's a pretty good X-Men. It's a pretty good cover. It's not a bad X-Men cover. Same with this. This could be an X-Men cover. So it's incredible. Now this one, not quite, but even the X-Men logo can't save this cover. But it's still better, way better than it was with that pink logo. Okay, this one is that's a great X-Men cover suddenly with the John Romita Jr. logo, lettering or art on it. Justice, this looks like a decent. All of a sudden, you got boom, boom, here it is. Now suddenly you got a decent X-Men cover, a decent cover. Same with this one. Doesn't that look like that could have been an X-Men cover? Absolutely. So I hope you're getting the picture now that how effective and how powerful a good logo is. Look at this one. Even Night Mask, it made it into a pretty good X-Men cover. Something you might just buy this, but might just buy this comic. Same here. That one works now. That looks better. That's what Bloodshot could have been, logo-wise. Harbinger, I think this is Barry Windsor Smith art. No, look at it. It's a great cover now, suddenly. It could have been an X-Men cover. Iron Man. Look, it looks cool. Pretty cool. Look at that. Barry Windsor Smith art. Looks fantastic. Wonderful art. Now this is a classic X-Men cover. This could have been something really special. Instead, it was this whimsical kind of, just very, very weak. I mean, it's not badly designed. It's not a bad lettering job. It's just not effective. Look at even Dragonlance. Even Dragonlance gets better with an X-Men logo on it. So, to sum it up, what do you think of the elements that go into a good logo design? I say shortness of your word. Keep your word your logo as short as it can be. Tilt it if you can. Make it dimensional if you can. Make it open for color. That's not a bad idea. You notice with a lot of these X-Men covers, they're colored different colors, and it really, you can make it work well. It's a real cool thing. I swear this logo is pretty much bulletproof. You could put anything on here, as long as it's adequate art. It's gonna look good. So that's pretty much it for today. I think that that's what I would do if I were you. If you guys, these comic book companies right now, your independent comics are taking off, and if you're an independent, you're trying to create comic books, think about taking advantage of what they drop the ball. You can pick it up and do great logos. They don't have to be necessarily old school looks fully, but think about thickness, boldness, readability. Excitement. It isn't saying X-Men, it's saying X-Men. And that's what you want to do. So I think that's it. Till next time, next tutorial, we'll see you later. And thank you again for always stopping by. And of course, like and share if you can, and get the word out about these tutorials, because I think the next one, I'm not sure, but actually what next, it might be hands. Hands are coming up, because hands are tough, but that's going to be a pretty comprehensive one. So you might want to see that. But check out my other videos. I seems like a very popular one, drawing the female figure made easy. A lot of people seem to really like it, and it's helped a lot of people. So that's my goal here, is to break down this art, this comic art, and make it accessible. Show you the way I approach it, the way I'm thinking, because I think a lot of tutorials aren't really doing that, and you need to really know what the person is thinking when you're working through it, and how they're approaching it, their roadmap, so to speak, to creating comic book art. So we'll see you next time. Thanks for checking in. Bye.